because they listen to this submoronic, idiotic beat. Go back to Handel for a minute. Let the people hear real music instead of this. You know, I got to tell you something. Over the weekend, I watched the fireworks like everybody else. They were beautiful if you were lucky enough to see them. And I do enjoy fireworks displays. If they're long enough and they're good enough, they're great enough to remind you of the Revolutionary War, which, by the way, was fought against my good friends in Britain, the ancestors of these buck-toothed morons in Britain who have banned me from their wonderful country of oppression, where every average citizen basically lives inside a caste system. But the fact of the matter is, never forget that the American colonists considered themselves British, but they were fighting against the autocracy of Britain. And today it's interesting that I am the first victim in America of the new autocracy of both the British and American left-wing governments.
Savage kind of lets everything out. You hear the inner man, how he really feels.
The Savage Nation. Talk 910 KNEW.
Classical music, the great minds of European music, to the degenerate music of Michael Jackson. I don't know how else to say it, because degenerate doesn't actually mean perverted necessarily. But when you consider the level of the soul and mind that it takes to create Handel's Messiah, compared with a jumping jack on the stage, for example, you realize that is a descent, not an ascent. It's a decline. It's a decline and fall. So Western civilization has declined and fallen, as exemplified by Michael Jackass, and to see the media falling over themselves to celebrate this, what is he? A singer, a song and dance man, ignoring the great men and women of history is astounding to me, how they get away with this. What it is they're reaching for the lowest common denominator. The largest audience is the lowest common denominator. So they're not aiming for the intelligent listener. They're not aiming for the listener who has any discernment. They're not aiming for the listener who understands relativity. They're aiming for pure, unadulterated numbers. In other words, if you have many more people who simply listen to your show, doesn't matter what their brain level is, you have higher ratings. But I would suspect that if you would evaluate, although my show is the third largest radio show in the United States of America, I would guess that if you could rank it by IQ, intelligence quotient, my show would be 10 times higher than Rush Limbaugh's. Now, that doesn't mean that many of you don't listen to Rush and me. I understand that. But I tend to skew towards a higher IQ and a higher income level by all data in every station. In other words, people who earn more and people who are smarter listen to Michael Savage, some of whom don't listen to any other show. Believe me, I know who they are. Doesn't mean everyone who listens is a genius or a high earner. But I tend to skew towards the higher income earner and the higher IQ. I don't think that they are big fans of Michael Jackson, incidentally. I know I'm not. So in light of what I've just said to you, the preamble is leading up to the following. I was standing out on a deck the other night. Warm, balmy ocean air coming at me. I had had a lot to drink, I have to admit it. It was after to drink a lot. I was in the mood to drink that night. I never drink during the day. I never drink during a show. But if I want to drink, I will drink what I want to drink and the amount I want to drink, and I drank a lot. And I turned on, just by chance, a local radio station, and I had a superb sound system in this place. I was out on the deck. It was a hot night. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and I hit a Handel opera, coming from Lake Geneva, one of those live operas that you get sometimes on NPR. This is one of the good things that they do. I played it as loud as I could. I actually started to shudder. I shuddered, and I looked up at the stars. I looked up at the moon. I literally felt my soul climbing to the stars. I felt something lift me, elevate me. That's what liberation means through art. Liberation means to liberate, to lift you. To lift you. I was lifted by Handel. Are you lifted by Michael Jackson? Are you lifted by a man who mutilated himself surgically to make himself look like a freak of freaks? Are you elevated by a man who jumps around a drug addict? Let's forget his proclivity sexually, okay? No one is an angel, so he had a thing for little boys. In America, that's considered normal, I suppose, but that's not the issue with me. It's the fact that he was only a musician. So what? What did he achieve that was great other than hitting the lowest common denominator? That's all. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So play Handel for 1 second, and then we'll go back to regular programming. Play Handel's Messiah. Listen, you may even reach those of you who watch MSNBC. Which is the piece that I love the best, where he wrote a requiem for his father? And who was the composer? Anyone who can guess that wins a free copy of my book, Psychological Nudity. Who wrote a requiem for his father as a celebration, actually, a memorial of his father's death? Who knows the name of that composer? Whoever knows that wins a free copy of my book. Is that what we're playing now, Beowulf? No, of course not. That is not, but this is close to it. Who can name it? 1-800-449-8255. Houston, Texas. Gary, you're on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, in the Israeli military, the generals are the ones that bust down the doors and they go in there, and then the enemy soils themselves.
Well, is that still true in Israel?
It is. My cousin's a captain in the paratroopers. He told me about it. And, yes, their high officers actually lead into battle, make arrests, and do all that kind of stuff in the field. Of course.
Well, are you talking about generals leading the troops? Generals or captains?
No, actual generals do get down there in the streets and go get people.
Well, that's why Israel still exists as a nation. It's why it hasn't fallen apart totally, despite its social degeneration. Apparently, its military still has great dignity and integrity. Thank you for the call. There's nothing more we could say about that. New York City, WR, Cesare, welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for taking my call. Was the composer Mozart?
What was the name of the piece?
Oh,
hold on a minute, Beowulf. You've got it ready to go. Play it. Just play it for a moment. Oh, God, there it is. There it is. To me, this is the greatest piece of music ever written. Play it as loud as you can. Play it to wipe out Michael Jackass. Play it to wipe out Andrea Mitchell. Play it to wipe out the schmucks in the media. Play it to wipe out the lowlifes in high places. Wipe them out of my soul! Wipe the vermin out of my soul! Get them out of my mind! Wipe out the people who eat balloons and teddy bears for Singer! My soul itself is crying from this insanity. America of losers. Fat, stupid idiots. What a nation. Degenerated from classical music to Michael Jackson. In one breath, we woke up and we were no longer a nation. From a melting pot to a chamber pot. All right, turn it over. The media did it to us. In case you want to know who destroyed America, it wasn't the politicians. It was not the politicians. It was the vermin in the media. They destroyed America. One of these days, I'll actually explain to you who they are, who started it, who started the downfall, when the media turned on America, and who the chief cockroach was who started the downturn. High in the constellation would be a man like Walter Cronkite, for example, who looked like America's grandfather, but in fact was America's enemy, in my opinion. He was the man who single-handedly declared the Tet Offensive in Vietnam a victory when, in fact, it was not a victory. It was U.S. troops who held out against the Vietnamese. They had the victory. But this long-time, wobbly left-winger, Walter Cronkite, whatever his name is the man who turned against the American people in Vietnam. That, to me, signifies one of the great turning points in the American media when it signally turned against this nation, and it's never come back from it until talk radio emerged, and men like me appeared in the media to try and right the ship that is spinning in a circle going down the drain. 1-800-449-8255. I said it all. There's nothing more to say on that topic. If you'd like to comment on some of the other topics of the day, anything but Michael Jackass, I don't care about him. I never thought he was a fine musician. I never thought he was a great man. I never thought he was a great American. There's nothing to celebrate about Michael Jackson. And anyone in the media who continues to do this is the reason America is in the sorry state that it is in. Period. End of story. So that's all. That's why I'm talking about Curtis LeMay. General Curtis LeMay. I spent time talking about him today. I don't know when this is going to end. I don't understand how this goes on and on and on. I don't know how men and women get up in the morning, look themselves in the mirror, and frankly don't throw themselves out of a hotel window. These talking heads who do this to the country. I don't know how they keep themselves from doing it other than I'm assuming they're all on drugs. I'm assuming they know that they're no good. They know they're rats. They know they destroyed the country and stabbed us in the back. And they also know